It looked like Caitlin Clark has donated $300,000 to help feed families across the country.
The Caitlin Clark Foundation is helping to stock food pantries here in Iowa. The foundation and Hy-Vee donated $300,000 to Feeding America at the Food Bank of Iowa. The money was raised through the Roundup campaign at Hy-Vee stores in March. The group says it will provide 3 million meals for the community.
Just now, Caitlin Clark donated $300,000 to help feed starving Americans. No PR gimmick, no flex, just pure impact. Stephanie White, the head coach, was unable to contain her admiration. Clark is out here feeding the country while others are fighting over Instagram influence and brand deals. This goes beyond WNBA news. It's a complete character check. Let's dissect it.
As we all know, Caitlin Clark has changed the face of the WNBA, whether it's ticket sales, how to play the game, how to show the boys how it's done.
It speaks louder than any stat line when a player returns this much. Caitlin Clark didn't make headlines by contributing to a feel-good endeavor. No, it was actual, practical, hands-on assistance, and she sent a $300,000 donation to Feeding America, as well as Stephanie White. How do you teach someone who is not just running plays, but also running laps over every player in the league when it comes to heart? That's why she lighted up with admiration. This was a statement, not merely a check.
When you think about the great point guards and post players that our game, not just our league, but our game has seen, they are going to go down in history as the greatest. And I'm excited about the opportunity to work with them. I'm excited about the opportunity that we have to build from those starting points and build out, and for the longevity that those two could have in Indiana, in Indianapolis, and hanging banners in this building. All of those things are so exciting. The future's really bright, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Let us establish the scenario. The week is halfway through. Even though the preseason conversation has subsided, some are still debating last season's MVP rankings and Rookie of the Year arguments. Additionally, Caitlin Clark and her charity discreetly partnered with Hive to donate more than $300,000 to America's greatest domestic famine relief organization, while the sports world erupted into yet another round of Clark versus echo chambers. Just action. No ego, no press tower. Then the verbal confetti was brought in by Stephanie White. The head coach of the Fever didn't require a script. She didn't give a prepared speech when the news broke. She really smiled. She has coached celebrities. Although she has performed with legends, Clark is unique. She is the result of the union of brilliance and humility, multiplied by influence. Not to mention that Caitlin is preparing for the most demanding season of her career at the same time. The cameras have returned. The league is observing. Critics are giddy with anticipation. And she's still here, helping thousands of families with their grocery shopping. Technically, name another rookie or sophomore. Who is it? The internet likes numbers, so let's speak about them now. With $100,000, more than 2.5 million meals can be produced. That is a significant contribution. That is revolutionary. Classrooms are fed by that. That means single moms won't have to decide between meals and rent. That means older people can afford a hot plate without skipping their medications. Furthermore, Caitlin didn't simply put her name on it. In order to ensure that the check reached the appropriate recipients, her brother was physically present. This was not a photo opportunity for the entire Clark family. It mattered, which is why they were doing it. Meanwhile, stillness reigns around the league. The Met Gala is attended by other players. Others are preparing brand partnerships that will end in 2 weeks. She's taking the long view, Caitlin Clark. She's not after attention. She is creating a legacy. Stephanie White notices it as well. She said what she said for that reason. She saw Caitlin from the broadcast booth before she was appointed head coach, called her games, observed the hotel throngs before tip-off, and saw security ropes off hotel lobbies as if Clark were an A-list celebrity, because she is. She has a jump shot, much like Taylor Swift. She is now utilizing that attention for something more significant. White's remarks were straightforward but impactful. It's not only box office for Caitlin. She is genuine, and genuineness is more important than glitz. That's not what you coach. You're grateful. You tend to it. You take a back seat and allow that leadership style to permeate the locker room. This year's Indiana Fever is constructed differently as a result. Clark's court vision isn't the only factor. The team culture is changing as a result of her official court rulings. Veterans like Natasha Cloud and Dana Bonner are observing that mood. A blueprint for greatness and purpose has been given to your rookies. This isn't a novice acclimating to professional life. The league is already learning from this young lady. Oh, the fans also took notice during the WNBA. Twitter was preoccupied with lamenting jersey color schemes and media rankings. When fans saw that enormous $300K check, everything changed. Sports were no longer the only thing. It was a person. It was larger. All of a sudden, Caitlin Clark was more than that Iowa girl. She gained national recognition. Furthermore, let's not act as like this is merely PR gold for the Fever. The entire WNBA can learn from this. Clark is creating it without saying a word by doing it, while players gripe about exposure and call for more airtime. The Caitlin Clark effect is genuine because of this. It goes beyond simply having more seats or higher ratings. It's an ethos. There is a movement, one based on philosophy and performance. You're asleep if you believe Stephanie White isn't establishing a whole team philosophy around that. Let's go back to the previous season. In addition, Clark was playing 40 minutes per game, taking in every headline and still finding time for fundraisers, middle school interviews in Iowa, and children's hospitals. She was a newbie. She had every reason to be completely self-absorbed. However, she was not and is not. The problem with contributing $300,000 is this. It's not required of anyone. Not in this economy, not in sports, and particularly not as a second-year pro still advancing in the endorsement business. But that was her decision, Clark. She isn't waiting for her to get there. Because she believes she has always been a part of something greater, she is already giving back. She poses a threat to the system because of this. She's engaged in more than just WNBA play. She is revising it. Caitlin is out here creating fresh blueprints while others follow the existing ones. Therefore, Stephanie White's compliments are genuine. It is a coach recognizing something that is uncommon. Genuineness, conviction, and unadulterated, unreserved impact. Let's clarify one issue. This isn't simply another publicity gimmick. To feed the hungry, you don't write a $300,000 check. Unless you mean it, Americans. Caitlin Clark does more than simply hoop. Off the court, she's dishing out assists in a manner that makes the majority of politicians appear inexperienced. And guess who was the first to speak up? Stephanie White, head coach of the Fever. And she didn't hold back, as you already know. We are proud of Coach White's fluff, and not just her boilerplate. She went all out, describing Caitlin's $300,000 donation as an example of what it means to be a leader in women's sports. Then she got right to the point. People come to see Caitlin for precisely this reason. She provides them with something tangible. It's more than simply her jumper. It has to do with her kindness. Give it time to marinate. Since this contribution isn't happening in a vacuum, let's discuss the ripple effect before moving on to Stephanie's entire remarks. Not at all. In ways far more significant than basketball, it is appending the WNBA. Consider it. In any professional sport, how many rookies enter their sophomore year with this level of confidence? Not just jersey purchases or ticket sales, but actual national goodwill. It ceases to be a Caitlin Clark tale when you have a public shout-out from Feeding America and families all over the nation are actually eating because of you. It turns into an American tale. You are already aware that some people are being confused by that. Let's take a moment to go back in time. When a reporter inquired about Caitlin's influence off the court, Stephanie White's press conference went completely haywire. Steph simply glowed. In this league, we talk a lot about being role models, she remarked. Caitlin doesn't merely discuss it. She lives it. This isn't just a photo opportunity. She is putting forth the effort, signing checks, and holding her own foundation responsible. Yes, you heard correctly. Requiring accountability from her own foundation. Front offices become silent under that type of leadership. Why? Because she's doing more than just playing better on the court. In terms of influence, presence, and morality, she is outperforming half the league. Let's not mince words. Before they have even completed their second full season, how many players can you think of that are contributing as much? Let's wait. It's getting more and more difficult for everyone to adjust to Caitlin Clark's cultural reset. Indeed, to act otherwise, even the WNBA Twitter haters. Receipts cannot be denied, no matter how much you gripe about overexposure or media hype. Additionally, $300,000 for food is a huge, unavoidable bill. This is where it becomes even more complex. Caitlin didn't scatter this cash for the sake of making headlines. This is her native land. Feeding America is a grassroots organization. We are referring to school districts, food banks, shelters, and other establishments where individuals are merely attempting to make it through the week. Caitlin didn't merely provide funding for a sentimental endeavor. Everyday lives were immediately influenced by her. You can be sure that Coach White is aware of it. Players who grind every day and still give more are the foundation of this league, she continued. Caitlin is not merely a follower of that custom. She is establishing a new benchmark. Go over that again. Not learning, not following, but defining the new norm. Whether they like it or not, the rest of the WNBA is currently catching up. Let's take a moment to turn around and deal with the issue at hand. Where are the others? We're not seeing this kind of movement from many other celebs, except from some light corporate stuff. Yes. A different level of dedication is required for this full-fledged $300K drive for food security than for charity camps or a quick photo shoot and bounce at schools. At this point, the pressure begins to increase. Because Caitlin is altering not only the way fans engage with the league, but also their expectations of it. The players that don't come up until All-Star Weekend will start to make you sneer when you watch your favorite player helping stock your pantry. Caitlin is setting the standard, and she's doing it without criticizing or pointing fingers. Instead, she's setting an example and letting the outcomes speak for themselves. What Stephanie White stated next was really important, so let's focus on her once more. Caitlin is the foundation of this team's identity. And you establish a culture that people want to be a part of when your leader is someone who supports others, whether that be on the court or through checks for donations. She is correct. The Fever are no longer merely rebuilding. They're changing. They're evolving into a team that represents more than simply victories and defeats with Caitlin as the face. They represent impact. Other players are already exhibiting that contagious leadership style. Colleagues are participating in community service projects. Matching donations are being made by sponsors. Someone who still finds time to drop 30 OOT bombs from the logo is helping to anchor the movement that is beginning to take shape. Let's now take a moment to consider the reasons behind this seismic upheaval. Caitlin had the option to keep her head down, concentrate on her work, participate in the occasional charity gala, and end the day. That would have sufficed. Instead, she's over here demonstrating the process to billion-dollar foundations and CEOs. The finest part comes next. She's not a gloat. She doesn't share a ton of pictures of herself with the check. She lets the art do the talking. People are being messed with because of that. They are unable to confine her. She is not a phony. Not only is she a shooter, she's no political gimmick. She is real. She is so threatening to the league's old guard, who have been coasting off clicks and status because of her honesty. Clicks don't matter to Caitlin. Community is important to her. And that type of intensity is exactly what a league that is still vying for national attention needs. Coach White is aware of it. Indiana is aware of it. Now, Feeding America is aware of it. Oh, and the brands are the only ones who are aware of it. Yes, they are observing. They witness what Caitlin accomplished with only one gift. They are aware that this person will add genuine effect to every collaboration, not just impressions and click-throughs. She simply elevated altruism. Let's not overlook the fact that her brother was grinning broadly while holding the check. It goes beyond family support. Family involvement is that. The Clark crew is leaving a legacy rather than merely accumulating awards. And it's not surprising that she continues to win both on and off the court when you have that kind of system in place. Caitlin is out here feeding families while the other half of the league is busy figuring out engagement numbers. Yes, give that some thought. In the meanwhile, the online conversation is divided. On the one hand, There are supporters who applaud her kindness and refer to it as top leadership. The usual suspects, on the other hand, are downplaying it and making up stories about PR teams and brand image. Ultimately, though, the receipts are honest. And in terms of transforming lives, Caitlin Clark has just made yet another lasting impression. We haven't finished yet. After learning of Caitlin's actions, teammates were said to have become distraught in the locker room. It wasn't because she boasted. At practice, she didn't even bring it up. Like the rest of us, they learned about it online. We rarely witness that kind of subdued force. She merely does. No self-congratulatory press tour or announcements, just action. And Caitlin is the one doing it in a world where everyone wants to talk about what they're doing. Since Caitlin isn't approaching this as a one-time event, let's now discuss sustainability. According to reports, the Caitlin Clark Foundation is already constructing long-term infrastructure for reliable food distribution, particularly in food deserts and rural areas. If so, she isn't merely giving money. She's constructing. She doesn't consider month to month. She's thinking in terms of generations. And it's the kind of thinking that makes legends, my friends. Therefore, Caitlin Clark is already acting as the league's face while the talking heads debate who should be in that role. Not just highlight clips and scoring titles, but actual, quantifiable human impact. Being a superstar is being redefined by her. The world is only now catching up.